live on Facebook and YouTube. Our TikTok experiment didn't quite work. It is what it is. We'll stick to making videos and reels for the people. Wala pang tao here. Wala pang ating regulars. What up, Julian? I didn't see you last week. How are you doing? Chill Thursday evening. Everyone's good evening, Glendale. You guys going to quiz night? I do want to nagsabi kayo. Will we see you there? Who's coming?
Paramdam naman yung mga magko-quiz night. Marami tayong prizes, guys.
You play by yourselves. You can play with a friend, 2 friends, 3 friends. Yeah. Yun. Meron na tayong 2 teams kasi pupunta si Glendale.
There you go. Ay, na-late si Bruce.
Lance from the land of the rising sun. Lance just met Kawada. He met Suzuki. Met Masa. Yeah, never forget. Hashtag never forget, guys. Nagkataon na. No, Ina. Hello. I was messing with you. When we say these things, we mess with you. Para may katuwaan naman ng ating podcast, ang ating stream. Kasi wala si Chino, somebody has to be funny. Question. Syempre, the must have there is Ray. Can't do it without Ray. I don't think of a Roman Empire, Bruce. I'm not that kind of dude. What's up, Stevie? What up, man? Rey Mysterio, 1 spot in the High Flyers. Shit. I feel like I need to say Jeff Hardy, but I don't want to say Jeff Hardy kasi yung flying niya is just, stunt diving and stuff like that.
Ito. Underrated answer, I think. Billy
Eddie
Kidman.
isn't quite a high flyer. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Paul London on there kasi legit siya. I would say Pac. Pac kind of he kind of changed the way you look at high flyers in the modern era.
Yeah, agree ako with Pac.
Obviously Neville, if we're talking about WWE identity. I want to say Kalisto, but he didn't get that much time in the sun. He didn't pan out. I want to say Eddie, but Eddie's not really that much of a high flyer. He was always the grounded guy, in contrast when he was working with Ray. So it can't be Eddie. Oh well, we'll just have to sit on that one. Time to shut up.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time!
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role.
and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Romoran, and Emil Nate joining you for another Thursday live stream. I wasn't sure kung on purpose ba yung pag-raise ni Emil ng kamay niya, and then I realized he probably lagged too. So that's the type of stuff that we deal with on a weekly basis here on the podcast. But we're so happy to be here, so happy to join you again for another Thursday live stream. Let's just get some stuff out of the way. We're doing this on September 21. And of course, if you're a Filipino who knows their history, alam naman natin what happened on this very day all those decades ago. Never forget, never again. You know, a lot of people will say, hey, leave the politics out of our sports. Leave the politics out of our wrestling. Or if we leave the politics out of our wrestling, we don't get Hulk Hogan. We don't get the Eddie Guerrero storyline where he was going up against Great American JBL, all of that good stuff, right? So we actually don't get so much wrestling if we don't have the politics involved. So we do mention all of these things because it is our duty as Pinoys, as Filipinos, to be aware of our history and to make sure that we don't repeat a lot of the mistakes of the past, a lot of which we are repeating again. Kaya inuulit natin, never forget, never again. All right?
Tsaka
it's great.
Sorry. No, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, like a long time before the pandemic, you would know that we never stayed away from politics. We just stopped talking about it a little more because, a lot more wrestling happened during that time. But we never stayed away from it. We never stopped joking about it. We never stopped. We always talked seriously about it. I'm sure Emil and other longtime listeners would know. So if you are new to this and you're surprised now, these guys are talking about politics, Philippine politics, then hello. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is who we always were. So if you don't like it, you can get to step in.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's get to some plugs. We have a lot of stuff going on, guys. Seriously, we're so excited to see you guys again in person on Saturday for Quiz Night, September 23. Babyface producer Jasper, let's put up the slide and invite people one last time to Quiz Night happening on Saturday, September 23, 8 p.m. sa Hobby Stadium. That's on the corner of Doña Hemady Street and E. Rodriguez Avenue in QC. Yung E-Rod sa may New Manila, not E-Rod as in C5, but no one calls C5 E-Rod. But just to be clear,
Waze
malapit tayo
does.
sa New Manila.
Waze calls it Erod.
Yeah. So, tickets are 350 pesos. May kasama yung iced tea at marami tayong prizes na ipapamigay. Among them, you've got t-shirts from Everybody's Toys and Collectibles, some GCs and t-shirts courtesy of our friends from Hobby Stadium. Meron din tayong WWE trading cards, a whole box of them. Na I'm sure tataas yung value because if you have been following the news, WWE terminated its deal with Panini. So now they're going to be moving to Fanatics. So this will probably be among the last batch of trading cards na WWE and Panini. So you might want to get that before they go away. And we've also got a sensational Sherry action figure brought to you by our friends from Hobbyline Toy Store. So marami tayong papamigay. If you were checking out the pre-show in Announcing Road, that we already have some teams who have expressed their intent to join Wrestling Quiz Night. I'm so excited to be hosting this. So makita-kita tayo sa Hobby Stadium on Saturday night. You can join on your own. Pwede ring may tag team partner kayo. Pwedeng trio. Pwedeng 4 or 5 people. That's the max, 4 or 5 people. And we're hoping na everybody just has a good time on Saturday.
Yeah, it's also going to be a wrestling hangout. Syempre, we have at least one confirmed MWF personality other than myself and Stan, right? So if you want to hang out before the show on the 24th on Sunday, we have Tuloy Ang Laban, which we'll plug at the end of the stream. Wala, tambay lang tayo. If you don't want to play, that's fine as well, you know. You don't want to feel the pressure, the tension of trying to win these awesome prizes from our partners. Okay lang din, you can hang out with us, you can just vibe with the local wrestling community. Kasi at the end of the day, eventually, this is what it's all about as well. We are just creating more and more events now that we're back in business for all of us to hang out. Because we're all we've got. So we'll see you there, and let's have fun.
All right. We've also got our Pasabay run, which we're about to open next week. Sobrang daming good feedback from our customers who took part in our trial run from last month. So we're formally closing yung first batch, and we're doing it again at the end of the month para sakto sa payday, may konting sweldo tayo to indulge ourselves on our favorite merch from yung mga authorized and legit stores like WWE Shop, Pro Wrestling Tees. If you want to buy from Shop AEW, pwede rin naming asikasuhin yan for you. And we've also got even yung mga medyo obscure, like if you didn't know that Roots of Fight has wrestling merch, yes they do, and it is also official. You want to get stuff from Suplex Apparel, we can also make that happen for you, bring them here to the Philippines. And for our Wrestling Podcast patrons, because they're already supporters of the podcast and what we do, they get a special discounted rate for our service fee. So yun, it's basically you're paying basically what you have to pay when you buy, pero if you do it through us, you just get a little bit of a service commission. Kasi syempre kaming nag-aayos yan for you. But we do promise that this is all authentic and legitimate wrestling merch, which tayong mga Pinoy, hayok na hayok tayo being on the other side of the world. So if you want to know more, hit us up, facebook.com/wrestling podcast. That's where all the good stuff is happening.
Yeah. We'll start it next week, which is technically the end of the month. Para pagdating niya next month, it's also right on time and on schedule with your paydays. We know how much you would like to spend your hard-earned work money on your beautiful wrestling merch.
Yeah, sakto rin siya for Halloween. If you want to go dressed up as LA Knight or whatever, diba? It's the perfect time to bust out that new LA Knight t-shirt.
Yeah, we can even buy you shoes of a champion if you so inclined. Basta bayaran nyo kami.
Oh, kami mag-ayos na yan. We've also got the NXT No Mercy Watch Party, which is happening as part of our patron community. So that's happening September 30. Emil, tell the people what they get if they're part of our patron community, aside from the discounted service fee rates for the Pasabay.
Alright, so madami pang benefits, no? Ang pagsali or pag-subscribe sa aming Patreon. Again, it's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast. For as low as $5 or 260 to 270 pesos in our local currency, like Stan said here. Doon sa Pasabay, so tayong, if you're part of that of our Patreon program, you'll get some friendly rates on the service fees. You'll also get the chance to join in on our Discord community where, like Stan mentioned again earlier, we will have the NXT No Mercy Watch Party, so you can join in on all the fun on our Discord server, and you can also interact with your fellow podcasts and talk to us about anything and everything under the sun. Also, the Patreon also have the review content of the weekly wrestling shows courtesy of Raw and ASH, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Collision, and everything. And and all of the weekly wrestling shows that we see on TV every week. And lastly, by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the Wrestling Podcast.
Let's say hi to one of our regular listeners, Kit Gutierrez, formerly of The Maneuvers.
Yeah.
You know who The Maneuvers are, pati yung UMD at Street Boys.
Yeah.
Like Shinsuke Nakamura says, he knows about your back. So what's up to Kit? Whenever you're listening to this, thank you for keeping us on your rotation as you pick up your kids from school, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, let's...
Lance knows who The Maneuvers are.
All right. Before we reveal our age too much, let's talk some wrestling, and let's start with some big news that just dropped wala pang 3 hours ago. WWE has announced that Elimination Chamber 2024 is going to be in Strea. It's going to be in Perth, down under. February 24, 2024, that is the date. I'm assuming 8 p.m. kasi lagi namang 8 p.m. And basically for the first time ever, we're getting a WWE Premium Live event in our time zone. Kasi it's +8 GMT then in Perth, which is our time zone in Manila.
Yeah, we don't have to wait. You don't have to wake up early. You don't have to stay up late. Finally.
I get to work normally.
Yeah, you get to work normally. Nobody has to buy any coffee, or unless you have a different sleeping schedule. So really happy about this. I have never been to Australia, but I might even consider making the trip because I've never seen a premium live event before. You have, but the great many of us have not. So I think now is a good time as any. I think they're finally, after 50 years, I think 50 or so years, are finally living up to the first W in WWE, or what it used to be. And I like this. This is a great move. Why couldn't we get premium live events, big events in places outside the US? Why can't it be, not just in the US or the UK, like these markets? Pero syempre, I know, like, maybe you're not gonna do it in Singapore. Maybe one day you will. Maybe you won't. They could. I mean, considering all the surrounding neighbors who could fly into Singapore and go catch a PLE from Singapore. I think if this succeeds, then they might be even more open to doing these kinds of events in our side of the world. Finally, it's you fucking Americans who finally have to wake up early just to go catch a big WWE event, which is also pretty big kasi it's like in the middle of the road to WrestleMania, diba? So buti naman sa inyo, kami naman ang hindi kailangan gumising na maaga. So really like this. I hope it succeeds so we get more. And if you're able to make the trip to Australia, do that so that the WWE knows na may power ang kumpanya to draw people from the Southeast Asian and Oceania region.
Yeah. Really huge even for the Australian roster. Diba? Ang dami na ring Aussies on the main roster. People like Rhea Ripley, Grayson Waller, Indy Hartwell, and Emma, just to name a few. So Dakota Kai is from nearby, from New Zealand, diba? So to bring all of those wrestlers on their roster to have a huge homecoming, kahit na sabihin mo hindi sila taga Perth, diba? It's still Australia. So napakalaking bagay talaga for the Australian scene that WWE will be bringing an actual premium live event to their shores. I'm not sure if Super Showdown counts because if you guys remember, yeah, it was streamed on the network, but it was kind of like a house show that they just streamed. Hindi siya yung talagang official PLE, unlike Elimination Chamber na may history na talaga that has actual stakes heading into WrestleMania. Ikaw, Emil, do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, this is great news. And one thing that I like ever since Triple H took over is they are now open to doing PLEs outside the US. I mean, we saw it with Elimination Chamber this year in Canada, Backlash in Puerto Rico, and Money in the Bank in London. So, at some point siguro we will get almost every PLE every major PLE outside the US, and that's great kasi the WWE, the first W in WWE stands for World. So dapat lahat, like everybody can get a chance to see a WWE show, and di ba, malay natin one day, like libre lang mangarap. So one day magkaroon din ng PLE dito sa Pilipinas.
Saan sa Philippine Arena, Emil? Pupunta ka Philippine Arena?
No, I'm sure a lot of people would. No, a lot of people would. We might not because it's Philippine Arena, but a lot. I think you've seen for yourself. Then I don't know. People would.
Yeah, that's
diba?
true. That's true.
So we hope that these PLEs succeed and they draw people so that we can get more countries in the next few years to come.
Yeah.
No, Bruce is right. No, Bruce.
Why are you making the Noah Lyles joke though?
No. Bruce. WWE has it even better than the NBA because now they're going around the world where the NBA is not. So.
Teka lang, the NBA, the N in NBA stands for national. It never said world.
Yeah, but they were the world champions at some point, diba? So
no, they don't call it the world champions
anymore.
At some point,
they used to call it the world champions.
Yeah, okay.
So at least the WWE is now living up to its world heavyweight championship, diba? So
fine, timely Noah Lyles reference. Yeah, I'll give you that. All right, let's talk about SmackDown. Let's start where we usually start naman, diba? Which is like the previous weekend. The Rock came back. Pat McAfee appeared. And Austin Theory, like The Rock and Pat McAfee, lahat sila naka-black sando. So, what did you make of this surprise appearance, Emil? Did you pop when you heard The Rock's music?
I mean, yeah, pero it's just funny na his family's falling apart, and then his daughter is in a cult, pero he returns for Austin Theory. And someone made that tweet, and it just made me laugh. Pero yeah, it's a nice surprise. I mean, who doesn't want to see The Rock? He's one of the greatest of all time.
CM Punk doesn't want to see The Rock either.
I don't really care.
Yeah, pero these mga appearances na ganito, it's fine. Like, I have, and he did his thing, and he talked trash to Austin Theory, and it was a nice pop for the crowd. It doesn't really mean anything long term, other than it's just a nice surprise that he came back. So I'll take it for what it is. It was a nice one-off.
Ro, I know you don't care for The Rock or him making an appearance, but this really did drive ratings up, especially for that segment.
Yeah, no, I did watch the segment, and I gotta give him credit. Like, the man still knows how to command a crowd, a wrestling crowd, and after all these years, I mean, nobody really hates The Rock. I mean, he's been a good role model for around the world. I mean, even though he's mainly a clout chaser for all that stuff. Parang, why did you only buy your mom a new house way after you made millions of dollars? Diba? So what's up with that, right? So yeah, people love The Rock. People love his shtick. People love the juvenile stuff. He
got an entire arena to chant, "You are an asshole."
Yeah. That's the command of the crowd that I was talking about. So magaling pa rin siya dun. He's also pretty impressive. He is like the fittest WWE or wrestling legend I've ever seen. Like, Hulk Hogan at The Rock's age right now did not look like that, diba? So whatever Rock is on is doing great for him. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's The Rock. I understand why people like it. I understand people, popping major for him. I like him a lot more outside of WWE, outside of wrestling. I say, the Rock's character has never changed over 30 years. Diba?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, he's still the same Rock as you've seen 20 years ago, diba? I mean, he's just a Hollywood star now, diba? So, yun lang naman. I mean, but for a lot of people, that's okay. That's what, that's their comfort Rock, I guess. Comfort wrestling idol. Comfort wrestling all GOAT, if you will. So I can't begrudge them for that. But to me, it doesn't do me anything. It doesn't move my needle, if you will. So I get it, though. Parang, I think the bigger thing I would like to focus on is Austin Theory still, not doing much for himself. Like, he gets to be the punching bag for all of these guys, and Pat McAfee. And after this, like, nobody still cares about Austin Theory. So that's pretty sad, because I'm kind of an Austin Theory fan. So I do want him to succeed, and this was designed for him to be talked about. Pero syempre, people are still focusing on The Rock and the other legends he's appeared with.
Yeah, like John Cena, him and Cena having that moment on SmackDown, diba? And then, of course, Pat McAfee, who apparently was the reason why The Rock even got to appear on SmackDown, kasi The Rock was guesting on the Pat McAfee show, which was held in Denver, and they were in Boulder, Colorado, na apparently malapit lang sa isa't isa. So, I want to mention Albert here, who said na it's the writer's strike. Yeah, actually, gawa to ng writer's strike, yung pagbalik ni John Cena and ni The Rock. We can't ignore that at all. Apparently, The Rock also mentioned on the Pat McAfee show over the weekend na he was pencil written to do Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania 39, pero hindi sila nagkasundo on how the best way to make the match would be. And apparently, The Rock also said on the Pat McAfee show na he's open for WrestleMania 40 kasi di rin naman natin alam how long this writer's strike is gonna last. It's probably lasting longer already than the 2008 one, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, it's pretty long. It's pretty long.
Diba? Ang haba na nitong writer's strike na to. So kumabot pa to ng road to WrestleMania. Holy crap! What about The Rock at WrestleMania 40?
I guess you could thank AI for this. Not Allen Iverson, but artificial intelligence, diba? So, thank you, the threat of artificial intelligence, for bringing The Rock back, I guess. So,
Skynet kasi.
Yeah. It's funny, I'm here for I don't care about The Rock doing the Roman Reigns match, but I am pretty invested in how funny this is for Cody Rhodes.
Yun, sabi nga ni Aaron, kawawa naman si Cody, di na matatapos yung story.
That's funny. That to me is funny.
I have to finish the story.
But it also depends on whether or not they can find the story. Like the story for The Rock. I say Kaz on the last episode of the Masked Man show. He was telling a story. I say apparently he was consulted to do the Red Notice, but Red Notice.
Yeah.
The Red
yung
Notice
activation ng Survivor
tie-in,
Series.
yeah, tie-in for WWE, diba? So he had all these ideas to bring The Rock back and write him in the story, and then the Rock's people said, nah, he doesn't feel that, it doesn't work for him, brother. He wants to do a certain he wants the story to be good, basically. In a manner of speaking, that's cool. Like, syempre, but dapat ano lang, any lang yung pagsulot sa'yo, which is totally fair. I guess that was still Vince's time, so it does have to be. There might have been an air of reservations when it comes to Vince's writing, but so they ended up with the whole golden egg thing because Rock wouldn't come in because he was particular about how he wanted to be written. So it's a lot better now, for sure. Na I'm sure the Triple H's creative team would be able to find a way para isali si Rock uli sa story. But there's still also a big possibility that the strike ends before then, or nobody can still come up with a way to bring Rock back and have him look good, or to have it all make sense between him and Roman and the family. So a whole lot of these different factors. So may pag-asa pa si Cody, malay natin, diba?
Ikaw, Emil.
Yeah.
Are you mad
Yeah.
on Cody's behalf?
No, it's just funny as well. I mean, poor guy. Pero like, it's malayo pa naman tayo from Mania to parang wala pang sigurado eh. Like Rose said, we never know when the strike is gonna end or whether or not they can actually convince The Rock to come back and do this story with Roman. Pero iniisip ko then they can do Rock versus Roman without the title. So maybe they can circumvent something around that. Like maybe Cody's moment can happen a bit sooner rather than Mania, so that he finally get to finish the story and all that is done. So you never know. It's way too early to say what will happen. Pero like I trust naman, I trust them to do what is right and to do what will make people happy come WrestleMania.
Yeah, matagal pa. More than a year away
so,
pa ang WrestleMania 40.
So based on that, are you saying that Cody can't make people happy the way Rock can? So who is
Yeah. Okay,
who is more joy inducing between the two of them? Like I want to ask the rest then, like people watching this, listening to this, who would make you happier?
Honestly, Cody, because he's we've been watching him in the last year. We saw how he lost at Mania and wasn't able to finish his story, and now he's on that road again to try to finish his story. Mas may investment ako with the Cody character rather than The Rock. Kasi, The Rock isn't really present to make me invest in a possible match with him and Roman.
Cut to The Rock pulling a Katy Perry and saying, I can do what he can do so much better.
I agree. I at this point, between him and between Cody and Rock, doon ako kay Cody, diba? Like ito yung may totoong progression. Whereas maybe hopefully they get Rock to agree to something that's really, it's really substantial, like the way they did Rock Cena all those years ago. Pero syempre lamang si Cena doon. So I hope that Rock can bring some gravitas finally to whatever role he's playing in the story. Yun lang naman ang kulang talaga sa kanya, diba? It's always been jokes and catchphrases and yung bara-bara niya, diba? So I just want him to, I just want the Rock's character to finally catch up to who Dwayne Johnson is in real life, diba?
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Again, it's still a long ways away. So a lot of moving parts, literally, for all of this para lang masettle come WrestleMania 40. Let's take a break. When you come back, we'll talk about a report about what Vince McMahon thought of WWE prior to the sale. We'll also talk about the reported John Cena versus Solo Sikoa match for January, and we'll talk about Kevin Owens. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network. Let's talk about the WWE and a few effects of the merger with the UFC, the best part of Endeavor. So first off, there were some layoffs in the wake of the merger happening over the last week. I'm not sure if you guys were able to touch on that nung last live stream. I think yung pinaka-notable name that was a part of the mass layoffs was Dana Warrior, who was removed from the writing team. So she's no longer employed by the WWE. But another thing na came out from the reports from the last few days is this report na nagsasabing si Vince daw, he claimed in an employees meeting at WWE headquarters that he felt WWE had stagnated, which is one of the reasons why he sold it. Like he felt daw na a sale would probably help WWE get to the next level. So, ikaw, Ro, what's your take on this, having observed the business for as long as we have?
That's bullshit. Like, everyone was reporting that Triple H was setting new records. About people were, you hear these reports almost every week now. Okay, this week's Raw was like the best in this particular city over in history, diba? Or this pay-per-view, this PLE was the best gate. It was the best attendance in stadium history, in city history, diba? So that's fucked up. Obviously, there is some undercutting happening here from the old man, and dina-downplay lang nila Nick Khan kasi syempre if they, if word gets out na there's a power struggle. I mean, obviously there's a power struggle, but if they play it up, diba, and make it plain that there is one, who knows what will happen to the shares, diba? So it's all a mess of capitalism. It's a capitalism game, and it's fucked up. I don't know if they had, if Nick Khan and Triple H had any power to stop it, but here we are now. I think Ari Emanuel right now is trying to keep the status quo. So sana tuloy lang ngayon. I hope that there's no internal or external pressure to bring Vince back. There's also one more thing pala. If Vince ever gets convicted of all his whatever, of all his controversies, of all his allegations, whether he has to pay civil damages or criminal, he has to serve time, diba? That's obviously going to stop his return, his big return to WWE. So at this point, and not just because I don't want him to come back, but also for justice for the people that he has violated and wronged over the decades, diba? Let's hope that justice gets served, and we all go back to enjoying the wrestling product that we love without worrying about any problems or whether or not this toxicity is gonna hang over it.
Before I get to Emil here, I just want to preface by saying na syempre lahat tayo, when I say lahat tayo, us here on the stream, on the podcast, we all know just the same amount of stuff. I don't know any more than these guys, even though I work with WWE as well. What I will say is that if you want like insight into the sale that you can only get from someone who's really in the trenches, go check out yung interview ni Nick Khan with Bill Simmons. It came out sometime last week on Bill Simmons' podcast. And no, we're not affiliated with the Ringer. It's just that they have so much good wrestling coverage over there. That's the type of coverage we aspire to be dito sa Wrestling Podcast. Go check out that interview between Bill Simmons and Nick Khan. Kasi marami rin sinabi si Nick Khan, who is by and large a company guy, but the way that he says it, very compelling naman. Mapapakinig ka naman, and you'll be like, okay, I kind of understand some things. Obviously, he's not gonna reveal all of his cards in an interview, even though friends sila ni Bill Simmons. But if you really want to know, that's a resource that's readily available for everybody. Sige, Emil, go.
I agree with Ro. That's a load of BS. Carney's gonna Carney, I guess, and we all know Vince said the things he said to make himself look good. Kasi it's halata naman na under Triple H, the WWE is having so much success all across the board. I mean, record numbers, products getting good. So in a way, Vince feels like he needs to boost his ego by undermining all of the success under the Triple H reign. So ano lang, definitely merong power struggle, and I just hope, things like the best outcome of all of this is Vince be accounted for all of the things that he has done, and again, justice as well for all the victims na nabiktima niya before. So he still is. I think he's still under investigation, or may mga charges against sa kanya na I think may reports pa nga na lumabas over the week of those allegations or cases. So yun lang naman. Yun ang feelings ko about it. Like, he said this to make himself feel better, I guess.
All right. From stuff happening outside of the ring, balik tayo sa loob. Let's talk about this report that came out. I believe it was Fightful Select or Dave Meltzer, one of them, na nag-report earlier this week that John Cena versus Solo Sikoa is apparently being set for this Royal Rumble in January. So they already laid the pieces in place with the Grayson Waller effect. You have John Cena already messing with the bloodline and with Jimmy Uso, whose allegiance is still questionable at this point. Emil, how do you feel about Solo being put on the same stage that Grayson Waller and LA Knight have been just this year?
Oh, this is a big test for Solo Sikoa. Kasi it's been obvious naman that they have been trying to test him, like if he's gonna be a main eventer or someone who's gonna be higher up on the card. And this is a good test for him. Is what he's up against, what they say is the greatest of all time, and it's very very reminiscent nung like they're really going for the maybe for the Umaga comparisons, kasi this, a lot of people were also pointed this out on social media na years ago we also had John Cena versus Umaga, and now next year we're gonna have John Cena versus Solo Sikoa. And I feel like that yung 2007, that was a star making match for Umaga. So maybe this is gonna do the same for Solo Sikoa here, and after this he can be a bigger star than he is now.
Yeah, deserved. Solo was the guy that they rocket strapped straight from NXT 2.0. 2.0 pa yun, to the main roster, and he has quietly delivered. Like, he doesn't make a big deal out of it. You don't really see people raving about Solo Sikoa match being 5-star, pero he's been really good. Like, he knows how to hold it down on the main roster. He's understood how WWE and how major leagues on TV want to have their guys perform and wrestle. So he's been a real underrated dude from the bloodline and from the Performance Center that I think this is going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a lot more emotionally compelling than John Cena versus Austin Theory, unfortunately, diba? So looking forward to this. Obviously, they were setting up Solo as eventually the Batista of the bloodline. Well, yung role niya when he came in, diba? So that's going to be the big face turn somewhere down the line with Roman Reigns as the Triple H, diba? So I like this. I like this a lot. And not the one that I want the writers to keep striking, because obviously they need to go back to making a living for themselves. But it's sad that this is how we get John Cena back into wrestling almost kind of full time. Pero alam mo yan, he's more invested in it now this year than he was in the past few years.
Yeah, I think the bigger takeaway for me is how just this year alone, John Cena has been elevating all of these younger stars. Or in the case of LA Knight, someone who hasn't been on the same level as himself. So, diba, LA Knight, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, now Solo. It's just amazing that John Cena is now in this role. And I know he's been in this role for quite some time. But if you grew up and literally watched the rise of John Cena, it's another one of those reminders now. We are all getting very old and getting closer to death. We've got Kevin Owens as well, who is not a reminder of our age, thankfully. Kevin Owens is actually one of the best written characters on Monday Night Raw. If you paid attention dito sa segment nila, you had Cody and Sami Zayn who are very much in the mindset na they can forgive Jey Uso, they can give him a second chance. Si Sami, diba, very self-aware na I was a recipient of those second chances. So, KO, why don't you do the same? But si KO is very stubborn, he's very hot-headed about it, very emotional, and also for a good reason. Kasi KO is the character who pays attention, diba? He's the one who 5 times siyang nabiktima ni Jey Uso and nung bloodline, and then he also watched how Cody and Sami were all deprived of their shot to be Universal Champion because of the actions of the bloodline. So I really love how KO is being written here. Yes, as Glendale points out, Kevin Owens is Mr. Hashtag Never Forget. So, Emil, given the way that KO is being written and how angry he is towards Jey Uso, what if he's the guy that gets traded to SmackDown? Kasi wala pang balita.
That's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough because him and Sami are right now they are a tag team, even though they have lost the tag team titles. That is definitely gonna be an interesting development if that happens. Because he's the guy that can't stand Jey Uso. So what does he do? He goes to the other show. So that can happen, no? And kasi yun na nga, wala pang compensation, wala pa tayong naririnig na someone who from Raw is gonna be traded to SmackDown in exchange for Jey Uso. We all thought it was Cody, but apparently it's not. So that's just that. Parang abangan pa natin yun kung sino yun. But like, I am so invested in this KO character. Like, I thought when I was watching it, like I thought it was. Parang naisip ko, it was kind of hypocritical of him to not give Jey Uso a second chance, considering he gave Sami that very second chance earlier this year, and then you guys have been pointed out na he's just human. May mga tao talaga na kaya nating bigyan ng second chance, may mga tao talaga na hindi. It's very human nature. That's why he's the best character right now in WWE kasi he's the most relatable character in there,
Sammy used to be the best character in WWE. Then they won the championships and then he turned face. But yeah, I agree with all of that you guys said. There is a level of self-awareness that I don't think I've ever seen before all of this. Like before Triple H came in, before the Usos turned face, or at least one of them turned face. So it's all good. It's all really good. I think because the Emil example thing goes to show you na this kind of characterization, this kind of writing, di tayo sanay. We've always been used to the black and whites of and the occasional gray areas of traditional pro wrestling writing, diba? You got a face, you got a heel. The face does good no matter what. He's a Boy Scout like Superman. Then the heel is always bad. He does bad things because he's bad. He's evil because he's just evil. And now, slowly but surely, we're changing that, diba? And it shows in how we're still grappling with these questions. Now we need to be told by other people now, okay, this is how human beings behave, diba? And that's really great. I think AEW got the jump on this before WWE really did. Like, if anything, AEW was really the pioneer of exploring the gray areas, the 3 dimensions of a human personality, of a human psyche, diba? So it's really good, and I think this is, I would say, a lot of old heads would say now, wrestling 20 years ago, 30 years ago was the best, but right now to me this is almost peak. It's not the same in terms of star power, but the way that we are being treated by Triple H's WWE, and at some points then Tony Khan's AEW, this is really good. I couldn't ask for better better creative from both companies. Syempre, it's not perfect. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect all the way, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was, 10 years ago? Diba?
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago was right around the time na itong mga TV writers, yung mga galing Hollywood, pumasok sa loob ng WWE creative team. So, having yung ganitong klaseng storytelling na three-dimensional characters, ito ba yung feeling nyo effect ng mga TV writers from outside wrestling?
Oh, definitely.
It's not the writers mismo. Like, diba, remember, we listened to Freddie Prinze, diba? And Freddie Prinze has always told stories of, they have good ideas. It's just that the guy on top, diba, the guy up top would always change his mind so much. And then he would go with whatever whim he had, diba? So, I think yun yung problema yun. Si Vince, who was calling the shots back then, diba? It never was the TV writers. I think we just like to blame TV writers because they weren't all wrestling fans. So it's easy to point fingers at them.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Emil, your thoughts?
Yes, same thoughts here. Kasi you can write as great of a material as you can write, pero if the man upstairs doesn't like it, then wala din mangyayari. Like it's not gonna translate on TV. But now I think there's more creative freedom, not just to the writers, but also to the wrestlers, to think of ideas, to think of ways they can portray their character. So mas may freedom na ngayon kesa before, where the buck stops with Vince. Like if Vince doesn't like it, then there's no chance your thing is gonna go on TV. But now, it's more of a collective effort now than before.
Damn, Emil, missed opportunity to say no chance in hell.
Yeah, I was thinking that one.
Alright, we'll take one more break. When we come back, some huge title changes on AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, and we'll talk about some unfortunate injuries that happened along the way as well. But first, another word from our kapodcasts on the Pod Network. Let's go over to AEW and talk about Eddie Kingston finally becoming the Ring of Honor World Champion. So after a 22-year career, the Mad King now holds a world title. And huge win for him after a fun match against Claudio Castagnoli. A lot of people were pointing out din na yung mga attires nila were tributes to some of the four pillars, diba, of the King's Road style in Japan. Diba? Sina Kawada, whose colors Eddie Kingston was wearing, Misawa, whose colors Claudio was wearing. So lots of good stuff here. And then Eddie Kingston now being a double champion, diba, New Japan Strong Openweight champion, then now Ring of Honor World Champion. To me, it kind of feels like this is their version, AEW's version of the World Heavyweight Championship. Do you feel that, Emil, seeing now, okay, let's give Eddie Kingston like a trial run with the Ring of Honor World title?
Oh yeah, definitely. This is like their second World Championship under their belt, pero it's not as grandiose and prestigious as their World Championship. So yeah, like I actually last week when we were predicting Grand Slam, like I was saying, I don't want this to be the end of Eddie Kingston's journey to becoming, to finishing his story. Kasi I really want him to win the AEW World Championship. And then now I think about it, yeah, maybe they can test the waters to see if he's gonna be a credible and great world champion by giving him the ROH World Championship. So let's see what Eddie can do with it, and then we'll go on from there. Pero still, I want him to still win the big one, which is the AEW World Championship. But this is a nice little end to a chapter in his story.
Neil, you're aware that Misawa was dead, right? So how did he request Kingston to finish him with a power bomb? Did he go to a medium? may spiritista ba siyang kinausap?
Spiritista puta.
So I don't know how did that request happen? Can you tell me what I don't know?
Yeah, Misawa's been dead since
Kawada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kawada.
Kawada. Yeah, kasi nag-usap sila ni Kawada. nung
Si
nasa
Lance,
Japan.
kinausap din niya si Kawada. Our
Okay,
boy,
si Lance
Lance
kinausap.
Tanong.
Yan.
Pero totoo, di kami
um,
stir ha. Nag-usap talaga si
Yeah,
Lance,
yeah,
who
no,
is a
yeah.
patron, and si Kawada. They have a photo. So nag-usap sila.
Lance visited Kawada's ramen shop. I didn't even know that was a thing. So
Ako
I'm
rin
now
eh.
officially jealous. Yeah.
Neil, we're messing with you, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping us with you through traffic.
So
on a Thursday.
I have a funny theory. I wonder if Tony Khan finally pulled the trigger with the ROH World Championship run for Eddie Kingston. Kasi for once, Eddie Kingston yung hindi nag-act out backstage, diba? So he gets a World Championship for good behavior, right? Because for once he wasn't the one who started shit backstage. So that's pretty fun. You asked if the ROH Championship is the equivalent to what was it? The
World Heavyweight Championship.
No, it's more equivalent right now to the NXT Championship. As sad as that sounds, it is what it is. Tony Khan, since buying ROH, he hasn't really done much with it. I think he's just banking on the fact that the entire ROH library is available on ROH Club. So Honor Club for $9.99. So that's where the money is. Pero yun nga, it's hard to not think that current ROH TV every week is just souped up, slightly decorated dark, which is not a bad thing. But syempre, if you're taking the legacy of the ROH brand, you got to do more with it. There are stories, but it's not the must-watch affair that it should be. Really good stuff. I predicted last week that it was gonna be hard for Kingston to lose the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship kasi syempre it's not Tony Khan's product, it's not Tony Khan's property, diba? So it was looking a lot more like Kingston was gonna beat Claudio finally, and tama lang, deserve lang kasi he did it in New York. Claudio found out that he couldn't beat Kingston in New York, and we're finally getting this feel-good moment. And I don't know. I'm not really sure if this is Kingston's ceiling. I hope not. I think he deserves a run, even a thank you run with the real AEW World Championship. But
But the
it's pretty
real
good too.
World Championship, you my ex?
Yeah. The real main championship of AEW.
All right. Congratulations to the Mad King. I agree. I echo what you guys said. Deserve naman. This podcast has a very soft spot for Eddie Kingston in our collective hearts.
Oo nga, kaya mag-guess ka na, please.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Stop no selling our email po.
Okay.
Right. Congratulations as well to Ray Fenix na gulat as he won the AEW International Championship. Tayo rin, gulat na gulat. Apparently,
Nax nga, nagulat din eh.
Oh, apparently yung bali-balita is that was not the intended finish. So we saw Ray Fenix do his finisher twice on Jon Moxley. So ang bali-balita coming out of that is that Mox got injured. Dave Meltzer reported that it was a minor concussion, that Mox was able to walk out of the building under his own power, pero parang hindi masaya sina Renee Paquette and the doctor. So maybe there's still some underlying health issues coming out of that match between Mox and Ray Fenix. So I hope that Mox heals up, and I hope na it doesn't appear to be too serious as we go further from today. But yeah, Ray Fenix being international champion, I don't think this was on a lot of people's bingo cards heading into Grand Slam.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kasi Mox just won the title earlier this month, right? So people were thinking that this is gonna be a great title defense for Mox, and they're gonna cook. Ray Phoenix and him are gonna cook with this great match. But unfortunately, I noticed this early in the match. I was watching the match before we went live, and I noticed parang when Phoenix did the dive on the ramp to Moxley on the floor, his head kind of bounced off the floor, and I noticed that after that it wasn't like the usual Moxley. And I think dun yun nakuha yun. Either that or the first finisher, first instance where Phoenix did his finisher and didn't kick out when he's supposed to kick out. So I do hope Moxley is okay. But this is a nice surprise, I guess, at Ray Phoenix. I mean, we have always wanted the Lucha Bros to branch out as single stars. So if this is a first step to them becoming single stars, then I'm okay with this Ray Phoenix title win. I'm sure the title will go back to Moxley at some point. Kasi, this just happened because he got injured.
I don't need to see the championship go back to Mox. Parang okay na. He did his job. He gave us a good feel-good moment versus Orange Cassidy when Punk was acting out. So, job's done na yun. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I think a lot of people are concerned as well. Phoenix can can make the most out of this great opportunity. He's phenomenal. He's great. One of the, I think I wouldn't be offended at all if people were to call him the next Rey Mysterio in terms of being a big icon for Lucha Libre, diba? So okay ako with Phoenix. It's just one of those things. The concussion is just one of those things. The hazards are real, diba? So it's one of those accidents that unfortunately happen because of the physical nature of the sport. And it was good. I don't know who decided in the middle of the match to call it. A lot of other instances, a lot of other times, nobody would have the balls, I guess, to call a complete audible and change the entire plan and give an entire championship to someone who wasn't planned to win, diba? So that's pretty cool. That's the best part about this. I think if Mox was the guy to call it, and I think he does have that power because he is one of the veterans and the actual champ, diba? So if he had the balls to call it, then really good because he understood na, okay, there's something wrong. Whether he had the power or whether he had the awareness at the time to do it, alam niyang he couldn't continue like this, and it might end up with him eventually dropping it anyway if it turns out to be bad. So okay na rin na they decided on the spot na manalo si Phoenix. I guess the only one who didn't know was Rick Knox. Between the three of them in the match, which is bad form because if Moxley was concussed that early, then there was a lot of time to tell Rick Knox, okay, we're changing this, and it seems like Rick Knox only found out nung first driver that Mox was gonna drop the championship, diba? So yun lang yung bad wrinkle doon.
Yeah, but it could be so much worse. So for those of you who probably still haven't bought into Ray Phoenix, you might want to check out his stuff from Lucha Underground. So kami who've seen Lucha Underground in the mid-2010s, we kind of know that Phoenix is the real deal. So maganda naman yung prospects ng AEW International Championship picture with Phoenix at the helm now that he has the championship. Right. One last thing coming out of Dynamite Grand Slam, at least for the live stream, is an apparent injury to Adam Cole nung Grand Slam. So this was during the main event, MJF versus Samoa Joe. Hindi ko maintindihan bakit sa Grand Slam mataas yung elevated stage nila. Pero dahil dun, parang natapilok itong si Adam Cole or mali yung landing niya when he jumped down, and he had a noticeable limp from that moment on until the end of the show.
Yeah.
So ikaw, Ro, you seem very exasperated by this.
No, I'm not exasperated. I feel bad for Adam, diba? So I hope that it's just a sprain because it feels like when you step wrong, then he messed up his limb, his foot. So I hope it's just a sprain like what happened to me. So I hope it's not bad because they have a good story right now. They're still in the middle of the detour in their good story, so there's still a lot more to flesh out on their end. So if I'm exasperated, it's because of that, because I don't want them to stop and cut that short. If this is a serious injury, and I guess we'll find out eventually, I kind of want Adam Cole to think about giving it up na rin. He's gone through so many bad injuries over the past year. I think you gotta quit while you're ahead. But that's a story. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, may I saw may loko-loko kanina sa Twitter. I saw na nagpa-injure na si Adam Cole para magkasama na sila ni Roddy sa hospital.
True friend.
Well, yeah, I do hope Adam is okay. I do hope na it's not a major injury for him to miss so much time. Kasi sayang din, they have so much momentum na with this story na it would it would be sad if he's gonna be gone for a long time with this injury. So I do hope he's fine. And yun na nga, bakit sa Grand Slam lang yung may ganon? Yung may elevated na stage, Maybe it's from, the arena, from the stadium itself, parang discretion. I don't know. Pero, yeah, it was one of those things na, accidents do happen in wrestling. Even though, hindi in-ring, sometimes it can be an entrance, maybe sometimes, it's,
I mean, you have the quad injury to, Mr. McMahon, diba? Nung Royal Rumble 2005.
Diba?
That happened.
Those things do happen, and I do hope he's fine. Do hope na he's okay, and he'll be back sooner rather than later.
On a related note, since we're talking about entranceways, naisip ko lang na sobrang awkward talaga ng mga ramp na pababa. I mean, I get it. You have an elevated stage, diba?
Yeah.
For the entrances and everything. Pero pag yung ramp mo pababa, and then merong run-in, or merong mga taong tatakbo to break a melee or whatever, they all look so awkward na parang kinokontrol nila yung pagtakbo nila.
Yeah. It's as a wrestler, it's one of my biggest fears na matapilok ko dun sa like what happened
or
to
namatay to
Titus
O'Neil,
diba? Yeah,
Yeah, there you go, diba? Diba, it's only a WWE thing, right? I don't think
it's an AEW thing too.
It's an AEW thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Diba?
I thought it was only a WWE.
No, yung panahon ng two tunnels, they go down, they slope down, diba? So it's one of those things. It looks good on TV, pero you have to mind your footing talaga.
Yeah.
The WrestleMania one, the fucking roller coaster ramp that they had.
Oh, yeah.
34 ba? 34, 33?
33. Yeah.
33?
80 yards. That was 80
Jesus
yards.
Christ. I hated that. Like, tangina. Mas gugustuhin ko pa yung curved entranceway ng Royal Rumble kesa dun sa sobrang fucking roller coaster space shuttle na pababa.
Sobrang hassle lang nun. Yung pababa na ramp kasi nga, di ba? What if you have to run down and like save your friend? Di ba? Parang mukha kang gago na you're trying to control your speed para di ka madapa or matisod.
Now that I think about it, I'm surprised we haven't seen much accidents na dadapa while running on that ramp.
Kasi nga, people are controlling themselves, but in the process, they kind of look silly.
The normal ramp kasi is pretty short. It's sloping downward, but it's also pretty short. Sa WrestleMania actually lang sila mahaba. So it's not when they go down. Kunyari for Raw, for WWE, it's only like a quick. It's a gentle slope. It's a quick slope. Tapos it's leveled na. So it's not that bad. So that's why you don't see a lot of trips. But the one they did at Grand Slam was pretty big. Kasi LED ramp siya, and then it was kind of elevated as well. So I think Adam Cole had to jump off to get to the side of the ring. Kaya siya na bad landing din.
To answer Aaron, yung kay Titus, I think was a combination of the ramp and him just not controlling yung speed niya. Because he was running down for his entrance. It was like the greatest Royal Rumble or something. Tapos yun, natisod siya. So that's why he slid under.
Makes you appreciate John Cena for running that way on that ramp also all these years.
Na yun eh.
No.
Diba? And Stu, the cameraman, also follows him. So.
So there, we're going to end the live stream on that note. We have a bonus episode that we're going to drop tomorrow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. So nandun yung additional topics natin. We actually have a lot between Becky Lynch, the build for Fastlane, Chad Gable, Sammy Guevara's low blow on Chris Jericho, and we'll also give our thoughts on the Global Heritage Invitational. heading into yung No Mercy match between Noam Dar and whoever wins between Butch and Joe Coffey. All of that coming up in the bonus episode. For now though, let's get to some plugs. Emil, meron ka ba?
Wala naman akong plugs, but again, I'm inviting everyone to head on to Hobby Stadium this Saturday for the quiz night, and plug ko na din. The next day is MWF. I'm gonna be watching. Yeah, I'm gonna be watching there sa Mandela Park.
Let's promote Emil's appearance.
There you are,
appear. Emil will appear. MWF ulit ang laban.
Pero if you see me, please say hi. I'll be watching the best Philippine wrestling there is.
Damn.
So there.
Now I'm gonna have to react like John Cena did when he was called the greatest of all time. Emil plugged what we were supposed to plug, so I'll just plug. Even though the season is over, please go check out Unmask: The Chronicles of Roman and Sandata. If you haven't seen the final two episodes, they're up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so please go check that out. If you want to know more about me, if you're a new listener here and on the Wrestling Podcast, and you want to know more about the local wrestling scene and the recent history of the scene, please go check that out. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Unmasked: The Chronicles of Roman and Sandata. And since Emil already plugged MWF, we got a little something different to plug as well. Other than our Rock of Manila broadcast every week on Monday 9 p.m. on Rock of Manila TV and the Facebook and YouTube pages, we're also now uploading, I think it's a quick experiment here, we're uploading full episodes of MWF Action Novela on our YouTube page. So just go search Manila Wrestling Federation on YouTube. It's a full episode. It's what aired nung Monday sa Rock of Manila. So that is for this episode, for this week, for today. It's the first hour of the main card of Road to Fate. So go check that out. There's a good match between Stan's Boys and Crystal and Rex Lawin.
Yeah, go check that out, please. On my end, katatapos lang nung Heels Season 2 over the weekend, so we wrapped up our coverage of that on post-show recaps. Ro and I actually recapped Episode 7 of Season 2, so go check that out on the post-show recaps feed. It's easy to find. Just look for Heels Season 2 on post-show recaps on Spotify and your favorite podcatcher. Tapos para sa mga nanonood ng wrestlers on Netflix, if you have not seen that or if you're planning to catch that at kailangan nyo ng kausap, we gave you our thoughts on it sa Picks of the Week episode namin last Tuesday. But my post-show recaps co-host Grace Leader and I are also going to talk about that next week. So we're going to process the entire thing. Ro and I have been through a lot of what these people in OVW have. So, medyo hard relate. Sounds family, ika nga.
Yeah, go see that. Like I said on the Picks of the Week show, I don't need to see it because I lived it, or I kind of lived it. So I'm not in a mad rush to finish it. But it is a good look. I recommend all wrestling fans who aren't fully aware of the inner workings. Yes, it's a curtain pulled all the way back, but it goes to show you what we go through as companies who aren't the major leagues on TV, diba? So go check that out. I hope that I know you guys who listen to this podcast, I know that you guys know what it is, diba? And know what the business is like, but it opens up to more empathy from fans.
Yeah, please go check out Wrestlers. Kung may Apple TV kayo, watch Monster Factory na rin. That one's a bit more positive, a bit more warm and fuzzy if you want that type of viewing experience from your wrestling documentaries, which admittedly we don't get a whole lot of. Let's say thank you to Babyface producer Jasper and all the other producers at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do. We will catch you all on Saturday for Quiz Night, September 23, 8 p.m. at Hobby Stadium. Kita-kita tayo doon. Glendale, bahala ka magdala ng entrance music mo. Bahala ka sa buhay mo. Wala kaming pa-entrance music, ha. That's all on Glendale. So if you find him, go badger him for your assigned entrance music. Si Glendale ang bahala dyan. Alright, kita-kita tayo until then. Go follow the podcast on social media for your pasabay needs and everything else. It's at Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Twitter and TikTok, it is at Wrestling2XPod. Individually, it is at Chino Supersized, at Monday Night Rowan, at EML_Meister, at Rowisbar, and at _Stan C. On behalf of Romoran and Emil Nate, my name is Stan C. It's another episode of the Wrestling Podcast in the books. And for today, we are reminding you once again to never forget and never again. We're out of here.